In this video, I'll be painting an Italian courtyard inspired by the beautiful Inferno map from Counter Strike. Before I begin painting, I make an ink sketch to check how the light and shadows come together. If it feels right, I move on to the canvas. I had explored B-site in-game and taken several reference shots to find the perfect composition. Finally chose this one as it focuses more on the site itself with minimal background elements. I'm painting this on a 14 by 21 inch linen toned with burnt sienna. The warm underpainting makes it easier to judge the values, and additionally it also ties all the colors together, creating a color harmony. I'm not matching the colors from reference exactly. I use it more as a guide and push the colors to be more vibrant, creating a stronger sense of contrast. Now, why I started with this red section first? Because the color was easiest to identify and mix. Also, establishing it first makes it easier to judge and place the white areas around it. Here I am rendering the weather texture of walls using different tones of burnt umber to add variation. For the brighter areas of the arches catching the light, I am using thick white paint, slightly grayed with a mix of ultramarine and burnt umber. I'm using bristle brush here, which handles thick paint well and also creates interesting textures. I'm using a palette knife to create a sharp edge on the right side of the column which is catching light. It's a useful technique to make brighter objects stand out against darker backgrounds. In this case, the white columns against the darker red walls behind. While on the other side, which is in shadow, I'm using a brush to create a softer edge as the form turns and blends into the background. In addition to crisp edges, a palette knife is also useful to create interesting surface textures, which is what I wanted for rendering this board. Palette knife is quite a useful tool when it comes to painting architecture. I found this section quite interesting to paint. The neutral earthy tones of the scaffolding set against the vibrant blue fabric, the way light hits the surface and catches the folds, turn this architecture into something closer to a still life. I am using a stiff synthetic brush over here for a smoother texture and laying the base color first. Eventually, I will add the darks and highlights to suggest the folds. I have played this map countless times, and most areas have specific names or callouts. Strangely, I can't recall the callout for this particular section. It's funny how painting a scene brings an otherwise overlooked area into the spotlight. Here I am using the edge of a large flat brush to get clean straight lines. It gives me more control than using a smaller brush, especially for shorter lines. Apart from color and value, I'm also paying close attention to the edges, using sharper ones where light meets the dark, and softer edges to let the shadow areas merge and blend into one another. Painting the statue was almost like sculpting the face with paint. I'm using thicker paint on the head to build form and dimension. The thick application makes the lit areas stand out even more. Here I'm using a smaller brush to precisely suggest the eyes, nose, and the mouth. The reflections tend to be a bit muted than the original source color. Here, I'm adding some variations to suggest shadows in the reflection. The idea while painting reflections is to ignore the details and paint the mirrored shapes. I'm breaking the shape slightly to suggest the water movement. The base of the fountain was a bit tricky to paint. There are no bold colors here, but only subtle variations of the earthy tones. The base here is shaped by the warm light reflecting from the ground, partially lit areas from the sunlight, and the cast shadows from the fountain's shape itself. The aim was to get the impression of the shapes instead of painting every detail. I bring out my bristle brush here for laying the thick white paint. If you're interested in what brushes I use, I have a video about it on my channel. For the floor area and the shadow, I'm using a large soft synthetic brush to quickly block in the ground. I'm intentionally keeping this area simple without adding much details. Not every part of the painting needs equal attention. Having quieter, less detailed areas gives the eyes a place to rest. It also helps the more important illuminated sections stand out. It's hardly a case when a painting looks poor because it lacks details. Rather, it's the opposite. Useless details can overload the painting, so whenever possible, try to simplify areas which are not of interest. I'm treating the cypress trees as simple cylindrical forms, but instead of smooth vertical strokes, I introduce variations to suggest foliage. The greens stay darker on the left and gradually brighten as the form turns. Trees in the distance are cooler and more muted, with a hint of blue mixed into the green to suggest atmosphere. This area, which is closest to us, will be the most vibrant with warmer greens. Ivory black mixed with cadmium yellow make lovely warm greens. Since this area isn't a major focal point, I treat it loosely and only hint at the foliage. The simplified greens in the background still play an important role, balancing and complementing the red walls. We are nearing the completion of the painting, adding some final details over here. At the very end, I decided to add a couple of chickens to the painting. Although they were not in the original reference, they add a subtle sense of life and character to the scene. If you enjoyed this painting and the process behind it, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for more such videos. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.